welcome to Wendell's Guide to doing Kael'thas in Tempest Keep in the patch prior to MOP's released. So basically the main difference between this guide and my last guide on this boss was we are now unable to have the staff equipped at the same time our bow is equipped, which when I did it last week I realized that and was like, oh, this is not good. It's still doable though, it's just an additional mechanic you have to look out for. So basically what you want to do here is in phase 1 you're going to go after each of these mini bosses one at a time. So you're going to see their little mini abilities and stuff and be like, yay, I get to figure out what you actually do. So what you want to do is the first guy, you actually want to get as many of them in the very back as possible so it takes longer for them to run up to where you are in phase 3. So the first guy I just shoot, and basically he just slowly walks around, and if he reaches you, he'll like punt you. And generally you don't want him to punt you because if you're far away from your pet already when he punts you, and he punts you in the opposite direction of your pet, you could end up being over 100 yards away from your pet, and then your pet will just disappear, and you're like, oh no! So try to stay out of his melee range. Otherwise, there's really not much to him. The second guy, he does an AoE fear, which you can outrange, but it's fairly hard. So just MD that onto your pet, have your pet standing in the back on passive or whatever, and you can, once he gets back to your pet, you can have your pet attack him a little bit to get aggro. But pretty much from there, you just kill him. You go la-di-da. The third lady is a mage, and she's able to cast fireballs, and then she can occasionally conflagrate someone and daze them. So that's a pretty nasty ability. So you just MD her onto your pet as well. She generally doesn't conflagrate you during this phase, but she will during the next one, or phase 3 rather. The fourth guy, basically you want to put some snake traps down. He'll run over them, and what he does is he'll sit there and put a 1-minute debuff on you or someone, which will randomly stun them over the course of that minute. So with the snake traps, there's a chance he could put the debuff on the snakes instead. So I like to use the snake traps for that. Once he's dead, just MD all the weapons that spawn during phase 2 onto your pet. Usually I go, you should probably kill the Cosmic Confuser first. I usually kill it second, but the Cosmic Confuser will AoE heal all the weapons, so just make sure you get that one down and then just take down the rest. I usually take down like one at a time while I slowly AoE. Once the main weapons are dead, I usually go for the staff, and then once the staff's dead, I'll go for the bow. Also, even though we can't equip the staff and the bow or the staff and our bow at the same time, I still take the staff, which I'll explain in the 4th phase. So once that's dead, I put traps down and send my pet over to where they are, and I'll put up an MD once they're ready to spawn. Also, I'll make a little macro link or whatever so that I can quickly click on my staff, and then I'll make another one for my bow, probably in the next phase. But that just allows me to quickly go between staff and bow. So basically, right here, they're about to spawn, so pop up an MD, and then they'll activate the trap, so you just quickly MD them, throw them all to your pet. I like to pop all my cooldowns here to quickly get the mage down first, just so that she has limited time to conflagrate me and stun me. Once she's dead, I then like to go after the hunter guy, I forget his name, but the one that applies the 1-minute debuff that randomly stuns you. Also, I'll usually like feign death once or twice during here to get aggro back onto my pet. But I kill that guy second just because I'll usually have the debuff or my pet will have the debuff, and it's going to take a minute for that debuff to wear off anyways, so if I kill him fast enough, hopefully he won't apply like a second debuff another time, and that'll give me time to get the debuff to wear off. Once he's dead, I'll go after Thaladrid, kite him around as best I can while being stunned. I'll just sit there and be like, pew pew. You can see the stun actually will stop your punt in midair. Once Thaladred is dead, I'll usually wait for the debuff to wear off, and then I'll also wait for the last guy to cast an AoE Fear before I try and get properly positioned. Now, what you want to do for this part is you want to get properly positioned, because as soon as he's dead, Kael'thas will aggro. So the trick for this next phase is you need to line of sight Kael'thas. I like to have my pet tanked back here behind the Kael'thas' statue. It's it's very buggy, and it's a little tricky to get your pet to actually stay in the proper position. I was actually pretty lucky here. My pet went kind of where I wanted, and as soon as he did that, I was like, okay, die. But just put your pet there, put him on passive, get behind the statue, let Kael'thas run to you. Once he comes back behind the statue, MD your pet onto him quickly, and then get in front of the statue so that you're line of sighting him. Now, the entire thing of this phase is, it used to be there was pretty much you would just you didn't have to worry about this explosion he does, but now you do, because you can't have the bow and staff equipped at the same time. So basically, what the deal with this phase is, you just gotta keep MDs rolling on your pet. It's the main thing. Beyond that, you see that explosion he does. If that explosion is cast and you don't have your staff equipped, he will daze you, and if you're not within 15 yards of your pet with a staff equipped, he'll also daze your pet. So you just have to make sure you've got that staff equipped. And basically what I like to do for the staff part is I have the staff equipped, and you gotta make sure you use it as well to get that buff. And once you get that buff, I just keep it equipped until he casts it, and then I'll immediately equip my bow and pop off a couple shots here and there. He'll also summon a bird. Make sure you kill the bird and then kill the egg so that the bird won't respawn. Otherwise, the bird will just respawn and you'll have a ton of birds. But that's pretty much it. You just keep the staff equipped when it does the AoE explosion. Quickly equip your bow, pop off a couple instant shots, trying to line of sight him as best you can, and then just like pop in and out of the line of sight doing instant shots. Use a little pet if you spec'd into it, the crow thing if you spec'd into that, stuff like that. The other ability which he does is he'll either do he'll say bow to my will, or he'll say obey me, and that's a mind control he'll do with a 20-second cooldown. I wish both of those abilities that he casts had a I'm not sure if there's a cooldown on the AoE explosion. There's a little bit of one. I'm not sure what it is though, but I know there's at least a 20-second cooldown with a mind control, so I wish they'd put that in DBM, but they never did. So you just kind of have to estimate or whatever. But otherwise, that's pretty much it for this phase. Just keep the staff equipped. Make sure you keep MDs rolling on your pet. And every time he does an AoE explosion, you can quickly get off a couple shots using your bow, and then just re-equip and use the staff so that you get get the buff again. That's pretty much it for this phase, yeah. I'm just like, no. Like, I've got my little, I think it's called Dire Beast, and then every 30 seconds is a talent, and then the Crow, and then obviously my Chimera shot, so. Usually if you have MDs rolling on your pet as well, that'll just aggro the bird, so the bird should usually automatically come to you. If it doesn't, you can just quickly shoot it a couple times and it'll be like, oh, screw you, I'll come to you. In the case that the bird spawns and you are you have the staff equipped, I'd recommend actually not equipping the bow and basically just melee beat on the bird until it's dead or until the explosion happens, like it's going to happen, or it might have already happened, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, just melee beat the bird and then melee beat the egg until the explosion happens, and then you can quickly equip the bow. From here, once he hits 50%, just quickly get behind the statue and then send your pet up to the steps. Usually your pet will be able to just stay on the steps, and that's about the distance you want your pet to be from the boss. You want to stay behind the statue right now just because until he lands, he's still able to mind control you. He's also still able to summon more birds. So he's actually going to summon a bird here. I just told my pet to attack it though. I'm like, okay, attack it, whatever. And then once he lands, you just go out, kill the bird, and then the egg really quick, and then go back to the boss. What he'll do initially is he'll do a thing where he'll actually launch you into the air. You can see right here, he actually like moved, so I'm gonna have to send my pet farther back. But when he does the gravity thing, you might fall, you might not. If you do fall, disengage so that you don't take too much damage. You can see that stuff around him. You want to make sure that as soon as you get launched into the air, you move your pet back. Otherwise, if your pet's too close, it'll take a stacking debuff, which will lower its HP by 10% per stack. So essentially, your pet could be like one shot or two shot, and it becomes like unhealable. So make sure your pet is not near. Essentially, you don't even have to have. Your pet should have so much aggro from the last phase that your pet should not even need to be in melee range DPSing a boss, and you could just use chain MDs. You can use the staff in this point. I usually don't. Pop everything again. Just like make sure you do as much damage as possible, and if you have lots of dots rolling and your little abilities rolling, you should be able to kill Kael'thas like I just did there. So he'll usually cast it once, maybe twice before he dies. I usually don't even bother equipping the staff at this point though. I'm just like, whatever. But that's pretty much it for this fight. Just make sure in that final phase your pet does not get within 10-15 feet of the boss, or he'll get that stacking debuff when those purpley things are around him. So otherwise, that's pretty much it. So alright, thanks for watching, and I hope you found this guide helpful, and I guess this will be a lot easier next expansion, but for right now it's a little bit more difficult because we can't equip the staff. You can see I've got 69 kills now on Kael'thas with no ashes still, so no! Alright, thanks.